Hey, what's going on, everyone? Jorel.solis with Confidence Pest Control. And as always, I just want to say thank you, first and foremost, to every single one of you who are watching, supporting, who have liked and subscribed. All the support truly means the world to me. So, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you. We're going to jump right into today's video. I'm going to be talking about this past week. I'm going to give you guys an update, like I said I would, as well as go over a few things that you can do as we get to the end of the season so that you can get ready for next year. Yeah, I talked about it in the last video, but every time I make a video, I always come up with some more ideas. So I'm always going to piggyback a little bit, especially as we get into the off season. There are just so many things that we can all do, and those things, those realizations and those ideas hit me at different times. So I'm going to have quite a few, I guess, over the next few videos of just things that you can do to help you prepare. So let's just dive right in, right? So as far as for me, I told you guys I wanted you to hold me accountable. I wanted to be accountable, and that I was going to be doing August very intentional, be really giving it everything I've got. I'll be honest, this past week was a little rough for me. Just had some family things going on. Again, I'm not making any excuses. Sorry, fellas, someone's flying on me. I'm really not making any excuses. I just need to do better. I need to make sure that I'm managing my time in a better fashion. But I was still able to be productive. So that being said, I'm upset. I'm kicking myself with the reviews because that first week of August, I think I went from, I think I got 9 reviews. And then it kind of went stagnant this past week. Again, that's on me. I just need to do better. I didn't, I wasn't. I did reach out, but I didn't have as many new sales as I typically might. But well, I can't say that because I'll get into that second. But I just need to do better, and then some of them just didn't leave a review. So hopefully they will. But we'll see how it goes. So review side, I didn't do all that great, but thankfully I got 9 that first week, so it kind of balances out. And then the first week I think I got 6 sales, so I was at 9 and 6 for reviews and sales. My goal was to get 25 of each. I'm still at 9 reviews, but I'm up to 14 sales for the month. And so 9 of those reviews came from 6 of those new customers and their spouses. So a few of those, and then this week, I added 8 new accounts, but it's not. 5 of those are from one person. They have 5 houses, so. Yes, it is great because it is 5 new accounts, all their own accounts, but yeah, it's not like 5 different new customers with the potential for 5 reviews. It's just one, but I'll still get that. I'm not worried about that. and then a few other sales that just came in from Facebook. 2 from Facebook and 1 referral. So nothing too crazy. I honestly, like I said before, when you slow down your systems and your sales and your process, everything else slows down. I didn't really put some time away to I didn't really carve out the time to set up my post for this week. So this week I was really dragging. I mean, I'm honestly, if I'm being completely honest, I'm pretty disappointed with myself this week. I did have a lot going on, but again, that's not an excuse. That's no reason. So if I expect anybody to hold themselves accountable, it's myself. And so this week I really got to make sure that I'm on top of it and that I'm doing everything that I need to, because like I said, I didn't post. I didn't really get the sales. And what I did the week before was I kind of had it automated so that it was just going to be, it all posted. It's, Monday through Friday, it all posted this week. I meant to do that, and I just, again, just a busy week. I dropped the ball. So, but I will be picking it up and getting back to it this coming week. As this video shows, I am on it. It's just it can be difficult, it really can. But that was my week of my week this week of August. Still productive, I'm a little over halfway there for my sales, and I'm halfway through the month. And then for my reviews, I'm not quite there, but I honestly, I feel pretty confident in reviews, getting those. That's kind of one of my specialties. So I think that I'll be able to pick up, and my goal is to try and, maybe let's shoot for like 9 this week to make up, right? But we'll see, we'll see on Saturday how it goes. But again, that was my week for this past week. Now, as always, I don't want to make this thing about me. I want to help you guys and things that you can do. So I want to quickly talk about some things that you can do going, and now that because that's how fast it is. We're already halfway through August now. So the season's going to go by the time you come back and see this, by the time you watch this video, and the next video is going to be a week later. So there's only going to be like a week left of August. So it is going quick. So just go ahead and start getting ready. Things that you can do to start getting ready for the winter time, and your area better than I do. I can't speak on Michigan or New York or 49 of the other states, quite frankly. But here, and I can't even speak of all of Texas, but here in Central Texas, I know that for me, getting ready means making sure that this winter I have. Well, let me take a break. And I want to say this because it's easy to think, okay, pest control season peaks in the summertime, and after that there's no season. It's not active. And get out of that mindset, because that's not how it is at all. Yes, it does peak in the summertime with your general pests. You're going to get a lot of phone calls for spiders and for mosquitoes and for earwigs and for all of the general pest control, right? You're going to get all of that stuff. But in the wintertime, it's so easy to forget about how big of an issue rodents can be. And I say that because people really do not want to deal with mice or rats in their home. Like those phone calls will go through the roof, because once they start hearing something in the attic, they don't want to go up there any more than anybody else does. So they're gonna call and say, hey, it sounds like we've got something in the attic. Maybe it's a mouse, maybe it's a raccoon, a squirrel, rat, or something like that. Either way, we're gonna get the pest control people out here so that they can identify and then let us know where we go from there. If it's a rodent, then we're gonna get rid of it. If it's a wildlife, maybe they do wildlife trapping, maybe they don't, but we can just kind of really figure out and identify the problem, right? So even though you're no longer in your peak pest season, you're still in a pretty high volume of the season whenever it comes to phone calls, because those phone calls, they might slow down a little bit, but not the drop off isn't quite as big as you might truly think. At least for me, this past year, it really wasn't. I had a solid November and December. I had a decent January. January is typically going to be your slowest month, but I had a decent January for as slow as it is, and then February and March were pretty solid. So these months, yes, they will slow down, but they're not going to slow down to the point where you're just going to be, twiddling your thumbs. So don't really expect that. And so for you, something that you can do, for me, roof rats is a big problem. That's going to be the issue. Roof rats and then mice, they're going to try to escape the cold. So you want to make sure you've got plenty of snap traps. If that's what you use, maybe use the T-Rex or something like that, or the wooden snaps, or the Victors, or whatever. I use just the old school or the black snap traps. I love those. So make sure you've got plenty of those, mouse and rat. Make sure you've got plenty of glue boards. Make sure you've got plenty of bait, whether you use like a specific bait or you just might use like, for me, I use a lot of birdseed, jerky, peanut butter, Nutella, those all those. So I keep some of those in like my rodent package. Make sure you have excluder cloth, just different things. There's a lot of things that you can do to prepare yourself, and you don't just have 3 or 4 rodent base stations. And I'm not saying you got to necessarily go out there and get a pallet worth, but make sure you do have rodent base stations, because in the wintertime you're going to need them. You really will. You're going to need rodent base stations. That's going to be an issue. So make sure you've got those things, because it's going to be real easy for a customer to call and say, hey, we've got, maybe we've got something on our attic, or we're seeing mice in the yard, whatever it is. It's a rodent issue, and then it sucks if you don't have immediate access to either have those rodent stations or to get those rodent base stations. Because I understand, what we do isn't, not everything that we require and that we need can be picked up at your local hardware store. Some of it is other stuff, whether it be product or equipment. You might not be able to just pick it up very easily. So if you order your stuff, make sure you're ordering those base stations, because if you tell that customer, yeah, we can be there, we can do that, but it probably won't be for another 4 or 5 days when those stations get here, they're going to say, okay, thank you. They're going to call the next person who can be there within the day or two. So make sure you have plenty of rodent stations with you. And just rodent equipment, because that is going to be the time of the year, and that is going to be the stuff that you're going to be getting phone calls for. So you need to be ready. So not only can you take those phone calls, but you can do something about them. And with that being said as well, one thing I will say, and this one is kind of a slippery subject, because I don't want you... I was talking to my buddy Jason, and we talked about exclusion work, right? Now, exclusion work is a great time. This is a great time of the year to do that type of work in the fall and getting into the cold, because one, it's not nearly as hot outside, so doing the hard labor outside, it doesn't bother you because it feels good. So that's one of the biggest perks, Two, as the regular general pest season slows down and the phone's not ringing as much, this is a way to offset that, and by quite a bit, because when it comes to doing special services like your termite services, your exclusion, your bed bug, all your kind of your high dollar, your high ticket items, like those things, the bed bug, German roach, exclusion, termite, some of those higher ticket items. Granted, not all of them are needed. Bed bugs as needed, German roach as needed, but then preventative maintenance like termite and exclusion. This is a great time to, if it's something that you are about, if something that you and your company want to do is exclusion and termite, preventative maintenance, things like that. If that's something that you do, this might not even be your scope of work, might not be anything that you do, so don't do it. If it's not you, don't do it. Honestly, I don't really do it because it's not really what I do. But as someone who has a history and past of doing it, I know how valuable it can be, because at the last company I was doing sales, and I was doing sales at this time of year, from September to March, and so that I did fairly well, because that time you're going to be selling exclusion, because rodents are such a big issue. You're going to be able to tell them, hey, this is how we keep those rodents out of your house, and you're able to do so with with mechanical work like sealing up the home and doing that type of stuff, which is preventative, not reactive, but preventative, which a lot of people do love. And so it's a great opportunity, because those typically are high dollar or high ticket items. I know, for example, for me, I would sell exclusion and termite to customers that we had. And it was typically I would say maybe, 1,000 to 1,500 per each. Um, for each thing for termite and exclusion. You might have like a $1,400 termite and like a $1,200 exclusion job is what it might be. But that was, it was right around 1,000 to a little bit more, for exclusion work, depending on what the scope of work is. Again, what you're going to do, how good you are at all that stuff. I mean, but either way, there's a really big opportunity for you. I was able to sell exclusion and termite, and during those months, that's how the company was able to continue to offset, because I would sell. Some months I would sell 20,000. Some months I would sell 40,000 in additional services. So I'm not saying that you necessarily expect that, as a smaller business, because you might price it a little bit lower, things like that. But that's an opportunity for you if that's something you do. And if it is, let me know. You guys who's still watching, if exclusion is something that you're interested in, and maybe you don't have a lot of experience in it, maybe you don't have a lot of experience in graphing or even the entire process of selling and inspection, let me know. I think that's something that I'm pretty good at, and if you're interested in, I'm happy to make a video on how I do that, because this is something that you could do and really focus on. This isn't going to be something you want to do with every brand new customer in the fall and winter time. This is specifically really targeted towards your current customer list, right? So say you have 150 customers that you've gotten over the past 2 years, right? Or even take me, for example. For the past almost 2.5 years, I'm up to about 220 customers, right? Now that this fall's coming around, this is the perfect time for me to reach out to those customers and say, hey, especially because I haven't done it at all, really. This is the first time, because for the past couple of years, I've been earning their trust. I've been building building a foundation of trust. They know that they can rely on me because I'm good at what I do, at getting rid of their pests. They can trust me. I don't come in here on the very first initial service and do it, and then the very next time ask them for, a big ticket item, and I haven't even earned their trust. I've been able to do so. Not say there's anything wrong with that, but I've been able to do so over time. And so now that we're a couple years in, I can reach out to these people, and the way you want to do this is, again, your verbiage is super important. How you say things, your tonality, all these things matter. And that's why sales is so important. But you reach out to these customers and you say, hey, Mrs. Smith, this is Jorel with Confidence Pest Control. I'm so sorry to bother you on a random day, whatever it is to say. But I was actually calling because I was going through the system and I saw that your home hadn't had your complimentary inspection that we do for all of our customers. I was going to be in your neighborhood a few times this week, and I was wondering, is there a good time that works best for you that I can come and do this inspection? And she's just going to be kind of caught off guard a little bit, it's like, what inspection? Like, what are you talking about? And that's okay. You want them asking questions. So she's like, oh, what inspection is this? You say, oh, I'm so sorry. Maybe I didn't explain myself. So here at Confidence, what we like to do is we like to do an annual inspection for all of our customers, just to make sure that everything is good to go, to make sure that there's no signs of termite activity or any signs of rodent activity now that we're getting into the fall and the winter, because they're going to try to come in. So we want to make sure that the home doesn't have any of those openings. And when you say when you word it and you say things like that, where what you're doing is a benefit for the customer and they understand that you're there to help them, they're a lot more inclined to say yes. They'll say, oh, okay, do I need to be home? And then you do want them home for these kinds of things. That's why I say this entire part of the video, if it's something you're interested in, let me know. I'm happy to make a video about it. But what you do is you get that inspection. Now is the time when you can use all your knowledge and you get to show off and you get to do everything else about being an inspector and pest control, all that really good stuff, all that fun stuff. So you get the inspection. So now you get to the house. take a flashlight, go inspect the attic, make sure there's no signs of any rodents or openings or termites in the attic. Look around, check the house. Do an inspection. A good thorough inspection could take, if it's a small house, it could take 15, 20 minutes. If it's a big house, I've had inspections take 45 minutes to an hour. But either way, you want to do a good, thorough inspection. That way they see the value in it as well. If you can, you bring them around with the inspection with you and point out certain things that could be openings. Like for me, you see in the back, you can't really see it, but I'm trying to point. No, there's like down here, there's little weep holes. Here in Texas, there's the weep holes. But you point little things like that and tell them how you would solve that issue. Get some excluder cloth and stuff that so it's not sealing it up, but it is stuffing it so that mice and rats can't chew through that cloth and can't chew through that galvanized steel mesh and get into the home. So you're able to explain it to them while you're walking around. Find any roof returns or openings around the windows. If you've got caulk, you can seal that up. Say, hey, these are a way that certain things get in. But this is a way to really build value in what you do and show them what's going on. Once you've done the inspection, you would go into your vehicle, you get your graph out, and you graph out the home. Make sure that that's one thing that was big on at Eco Show. They made sure we were good at sales, at inspecting, at graphing, and doing all this, because it really is a process. If you just tell them, oh, we can do this, we can stuff these weep holes, we can seal this roof return, we can do it for $1,200. And be like, no, I'm not paying that. But if you take the time to be very, very thorough, and again, that's why I say if y'all are interested, let me know. But it is a process. So then you get that graph, you draw that graph. You mark it, you put all the numbers, you put all the markings for openings, and then you use that graph as a good visual aid and a visual representation to show that customer once you get back inside. You say, hey, do you have just a few minutes? We can go over what I found. And you sit down and you talk to them. You say, listen, here's your home right here on the graph. Here's 50 weep holes around the home. Here's 4 openings around the roof returns. There's 1 around the pipe. And we can do all this. These are the opening, or these are the problems. This is how we fix it, and this is what it's going to cost you. At the very end, you give them the price. They say, okay, yeah, let's do it, because they do see the value in it. They don't want the problems of mice and rats, and so you'd truly be surprised at how many of those I used to sell. And then also you could be there for rodent protection, but say, hey, these little red dots on the outside, that's just your tray loader rodent bait stations, or your termite bait stations. We do that here, and so what you would do is you would draw up the bait stations as well as the exclusion work and say, hey, we're here for the exclusion, but we always do this just so that, it's part of the inspection. And if you're ever interested in termite, this is what it would be. Offer a couple of discounts. And so you offer a little bit of a discount. You might get both right then and there. That's what would happen with me. 9 times out of 10, when they bought, they would just go ahead and buy a couple of the things that I was able to sell. So I know I went into a long spiel about that because, it's just me, but that's one of those things that you can do in the fall, in the winter time, and even early spring and especially once you grow a team and you have the opportunity and availability to not only do what you want or do what you need to, but do a little bit of the things you want. Some of those are high ticket items, and so honestly, it might cost you with labor, whether it's you doing it yourself or you have a stud who can do all the exclusion work, it might cost you, $150, $200, maybe $300 to do. That's what might be the cost to do the job, labor, all that, and you might make $1,500 on the job. So the profit margins on the exclusion work are through the roof. They're 10x. Easily 10x. So on some of these. So you're going to have an opportunity to have really, really high profit margins, and you can clear $100,000, in exclusions pretty easily. Even if you just do, you sell each one of your exclusion jobs is just, $1,000, and you can do 2 or 3 exclusion jobs in a day. I mean, that's $3,000, a day. That's $15,000 a week, just in additional services. And so, whereas your pest control, yes, that's your bread and butter. You want to have a lot of those, and that's what's gonna eventually gonna make you the money if and when you ever decide to sell. But that exclusion, it might not get you a whole lot of multiplier later on down the road, but it also gets that bottom line really, really high. So say, your sales was, 100,000 in general pest control, and then you're able to do another 80,000 in, exclusion work, but you got to realize the payoff for the exclusion is so high. So, that's why so many companies do it, because there's so much money to be made. You can make a lot of money sealing up garage doors and making sure that the weep holes are stuffed and making sure that those roof returns are sealed up and nothing's crawling. There's a lot of money to be made in there. And so if you guys are going to be doing that, making sure that you got a good process to sell, and if that's something you're already familiar with, then great. Make sure this is the time of the year to start doing that. For those of you who are interested in it, this is that time of the year to start reaching out to those customers so that you can start doing it. And lastly, again, if that's something you are interested in, let me know. I think I'm pretty decent at that. So if you want to know a little bit more about that, I'm more than happy to make a video on kind of a step-by-step process on how that goes, to show you how to do that. But those are going to be some of the, again, I could go on about more things, but these are going to be some of, not necessarily the quick things, but some of the things that you can do, like I said, just for the rodent, just making sure that you have the equipment, your rodent your rodent bait stations, your snap traps, your baits, all, those are the things that you're going to need for sure. And then if you're going to say, hey, I want to start selling exclusion, I want to make some more money, and you want to do the exclusion stuff, then make sure you've got a great process. But this is the time of year that you would want to start doing that, reaching out to those customers and saying, hey, we're going to do the inspection for you, because if you can get in front of them, that's half the battle. And once you've gotten there, then that's when it all comes down to you. Like, that's when it really gets to you about getting good at what you're doing, at making your sales, at getting good at your tonality, at getting good at using the right words and making sure you've got a solid vocabulary and just all that good stuff. So if that's something you want to do, now's the time to make some really serious money with all that. But as far as for right now, that's all I've got, you guys. I wanted to leave you something with what you can do. Hopefully it's valuable. If not, I apologize. But thank you all so much for tuning in, listening to what I have to say. I'll be back in a week to let you know how this third week of the month goes. Hopefully I get some more reviews and some more sales, and I can come to you with some better news. But until then, keep growing those businesses, keep grinding. As always, stay confident and take care.